Hello, 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 hello. How you doing? Kat here. I hope you're having an awesome day. I'm so looking forward to sharing this content with you. In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you the biggest red flag in business and how to avoid it. The biggest red flag. I know it's a big claim, like it's a really big thing to say that this is one big flag in business. But I want to start by asking you a couple of questions. If you feel like there's a handbrake on your business progress, do you feel like there's a handbrake on your business program? Do you wonder why your business isn't growing no matter how hard you feel like you're working? Is that you? Do you feel like you're going, doing, but you're not achieving the success and the progress and the growth in your business that you know that you deserve? If that's you, I'm going to be talking to you about something that you can put in place straight away, and you already know what it is. But today I'm going to be talking to you about the most neglected and the most underrated thing that's responsible in driving your business forward. And it's actually about you. It's actually about you and looking after you as the leader of your business. This isn't included in a lot of business programs. There's not always a lot of strategy on self-care. But without self-care, if we don't actually include it in our business strategy and we don't have it as a tickable item, it just gets pushed off the list. It gets pushed down and pushed down. And it's almost like becomes this fluffy thing that we don't really want to talk about because, oh, yeah, I know I should sleep more. I know I should eat healthier. I know I should get to bed more. I know I should scroll my phone less, right? So if you're stressed out and you're not working properly, you're not going to get that business growth. You're not going to be able to show up with high energy, with enthusiasm, with passion, with creativity and problem solving, all the things that we need in business. And your business isn't going to be fun. Now, I've been talking to a lot of people lately, and this is why I'm talking about this now. A lot of people are feeling stressed, overwhelmed, too much information coming in, information overload, really feeling like they could burn out if nothing changes, going to bed later and later, getting up earlier and earlier, having less breaks, doing less movement. A lot of the habits that we put in place at the start of the year have slipped away. We're now into quarter two, and it's easy at the start of the year to say, right, I'm going to do this and this and this. And by this stage, if we haven't had a good holiday, like a really good rest for our brain, it's about this time that we can really get into trouble. And our business can start stagnating, plateauing, or actually get worse. We can lose clients. We can start making mistakes. We can stop showing up consistently or show up kind of poorly. You're there, but you're kind of not there, if you know what I mean. You're on a client call, but your mind is somewhere else instead of actually being present with your client. And we can all do this. Like, this is totally normal. We can't be on all the time. A lot of us is in front of screens all day and sometimes into the night, and we can't expect our body to keep producing great feel-good chemicals and not be constantly pumping cortisol if we're not building self-care into our business strategy. It's like if you don't brush your teeth over time, brushing your teeth once or brushing your teeth once a week, it's not going to do anything. It's about that consistent building it into your daily routine. It's the same with a car. If you don't look after your car, if you think about a car doing, what are they called, like the Formula Ones, and they're racing and they're pushing that car, but they come into the pit stop regularly and they have a whole team looking after them, taking the wheels off and putting petrol in or whatever they do. I don't really know much about cars, but you get the analogy, right? It's the same thing with business. You have to do it regularly. It's a huge part of business. Tonight in my group, in my Inner Circle program, I talked about 4 major red flags that we need to overcome in business, and I gave all the symptoms, and a lot of people had a lot of the symptoms. Things like forgetting things, being clumsy, having a disorganized desk, a disorganized home, arguing with people, avoiding people, some of our behaviors, resenting our work, being easily irritated, easily triggered, having a short fuse. These are all some examples of red flags, and it's so important to take care of what's important to you. And if you think about this, I was chatting with my friend Natasha about this today. If you're not really taking care of you, you have to really question, are you important to you? And to face that question, if you're putting other people's needs before you and you're staying up late on your laptop working, you're not taking proper holidays, you're not taking proper weekends, you're not switching off, you're making other things more important than you. And so it does come down to a self-worth and self-value issue, which can have a bit of a deeper root cause, which probably needs to be worked through with a coach. But you can have the best strategies in the world, but unless you're looking after your self-care, like we were talking about it in the group tonight, Sandy, one of my clients, said, I'm going to add self-care success as a task on my to-do list every day. Tick the box and see it as something that is so important. And what happened to me was, because I tend to do. I'm a real action taker, and I feel like I can handle a lot. And because I'm so happy and very optimistic and grateful, I don't realize that I'm actually stressed. Like, I don't feel stressed. I don't worry. I don't have that kind of chatter about the negative, because I've really, really worked on it. However, when I got tested last year, my cortisol levels were really high, like really off the charts. And so I had to go, hey, my body is telling me something. Even though I feel fine, it doesn't mean I am fine. And so I want to encourage you, just because you're feeling fine doesn't mean that you shouldn't be putting regular, consistent things in your calendar to look after yourself. And this is really hard to do if you're a high achiever, if you're an action taker, if you're a go-getter, and if you fill your life with a lot of things. Hello, Lisa. Thank you. So give me a why in the chat box if I'm not alone. If you are the kind of person that likes to fill your life, you're always talking about, maybe I need to have more self-care, but the reality is you keep filling your life and you keep having a big, long to-do list. Just give me a yes if that's you, because it's super common and it's normal. Because our society talks about just going and hustling and grinding, and it's almost cool sometimes to just be like, oh, just chuck down another coffee and keep going. And we can wreak havoc with our body. And my functional medicine practitioner had to have a good talk to me and say, Kat, you need to take this seriously. Like, if you are adding stress on top of already a compromised immune system, and you're adding coffee and sugar and alcohol to that, it's just like drinking and eating more cortisol. So there's the lifestyle thing, but there's also the never switching off thing, which is a little bit more sinister because you don't realize the cost of it and you get used to it. If you're anything like me, it just feels normal. I don't know really any different to just feeling this constant drive to do things, to produce, to create, and I get a real buzz off it. It's just go. And so for me to have a proper holiday where I literally get super bored and don't do any strategy or planning or reading a personal development book or a business book is really challenging. So if that's you, you're not alone. Hi Jens, a functional medicine practitioner. Yeah, she talks about food as medicine and looking, so a lot of doctors will pick up, for example, in a blood test, you'll come back normal according to statistics, but they pick up a lot more outside of that because it's not based on just like general population. It's based on your specific markets. It's kind of like at school where you might get 50% on your test, but it wasn't that you got half the test wrong. It was just that you got 50% as like the median in your school. It's that type of thing. And so I've worked with her with lifestyle and basically cut out a whole lot of things. And for 6 months, I didn't eat gluten or dairy or sugar or legumes or nightshades, like massive list. I was basically eating meat and veggies, and that's it for 6 months, and a bit of fruit. But my test still after that came back still stressed. So stress overrides everything. And it's funny kind of talking about this in a business context, but if you don't address it, everything's going to be halted in your business. You won't be able to think clearly. Your clients will feel it, and your energy will actually repel clients. And that's just the reality of it. When you're going, oh, no one's signing up with me, sometimes you've really got to look at yourself, because if you've got this stress happening, even if you're smiling and happy and all is well, people can feel that. And we can't perform well for ourselves, for our family, for our friends, for our loved ones, for our community, if we've got that constant state of underlying stress. If you've ever read Stephen Covey's 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, has anyone read that? Just give me a yes in the chat box. It's an amazing book. In the comments, sorry, not the chat box. And he talks about the PC balance. PC balance. So it's he talks about this awesome story about this struggling farmer who finds this egg made of pure gold, and the goose that produced it was producing a golden egg every day, and he discovers it's a golden egg, and he realizes that this egg should be enough for him to live a great life, and he becomes rich because of one of these eggs. But now that he's rich, he's like, well, maybe this goose is full of these golden eggs, and so I'm going to cut the goose open and get all the eggs out at once. He just wants more and more and more. He doesn't want that one a day egg. And so he's convinced that there must be a gold mine inside the goose, and so he slices it up and gets to try and get to these golden eggs all at once, but he finds out that there's no golden eggs, that goose needed to actually produce one a day. And so he's killed the goose, and because of greed, he's killed the thing that was going to keep producing money. And Stephen Covey uses this to illustrate this equation, which is basically the more you produce, the more you do, the more effective you are. That is like the fallacy. But true effectiveness is actually due to what is produced, the golden eggs, like that's the P, the produced, and also the production capability. So the production, P, and then the PC, production capability. So you can stay up all night, you can work till 1 a.m., you can get up early, you can get all this work done, you can pump it out. But at a certain point, after you increase your production, the production capability will fall, and you'll actually get diminishing returns because you're tired, your energy's not there, and everything starts to go down. And so similarly, like with a car, you need that regular maintenance and service, and changing the oil, etc. You need to look after the goose, because the goose is the one that produces the eggs. And maybe you might save, you might not save that little bit of money or a little bit of time here, but in the long run, it's going to pay off, right? So this is a great metaphor for taking care of ourselves. So how do we avoid stress? How do we avoid stress halting our business growth? Because we're all going to have things that are happening, right? Thanks for your comments. Hey, Carolyn, it's great to see you here. Thanks for your comments, Lisa and Jens. Okay, so there's 3 things that you can do. The first one is to identify your red flags. What are those things where you're like, okay, I need to pay attention here? So I've mentioned a few of the red flags. So there's really 4 types. There's physical red flags. So maybe your body shows up with a rash or an ulcer, or with insomnia. Maybe you get a racing heart. You might get migraines, headaches, stomach aches, tense muscles, physical symptoms your body will send out. There's also mental red flags, so not being able to concentrate, not being able to focus, mind chatter, that constant mind chatter, clumsiness, forgetfulness, being disorganized, having the racing thoughts, negative thoughts. And then there's mental red flags, emotional red flags. So emotional red flags are things like fear, guilt, shame, worry, doubt, maybe being super sensitive, being easily irritated by noise or traffic, mood swings, irritability, feeling overwhelmed. And then there's behavioral red flags. So things that actions that we take, like procrastinating, having a messy environment, avoiding people, avoiding responsibilities. Anything we're overdoing, so overeating, over drinking, over social media consumption, over Netflixing, all of these things are red flags that our body's actually under stress and we need to do something differently. So that's number one, is we need to identify those red flags and go, okay, this is a sign that yes, even though I might not feel that stress, my body is actually under stress. And you need to just actually face that and acknowledge it. Then what we need to do is look at what are the big rocks. So you've probably heard the story of the jar. If you put big rocks in, then small rocks, then sand, then water, you can fit a whole lot in. But if you put the sand in first and then you try and put the pebbles and then the big rocks, you can't fit as much in. So if we don't put the big rocks into our life first, which should be our self-care, then it just gets squeezed out and then our business is going to suffer. So we need to look at self-care as a strategy in our business that we tick off. And this should be daily, weekly, monthly, quarterly, yearly. So maybe daily, what are the daily things you need to do? What are those non-negotiable things that you know if you do it, it's like a domino, it's going to push over all, make everything else easier. So maybe it's journaling, what my sister Vicky, she calls clearing the emotional pipes, where twice a day she clears the emotional pipes, and that's why she can produce so much, because every morning she wakes up and journals, doesn't grab her phone, and every afternoon she goes for a walk without her phone, just to clear the emotions, let them settle, let them process. Maybe it's going to bed earlier, having a better night routine. Maybe it's drinking more water every day. Then the weekly might be catching up with friends every week, maybe twice a week. You put in something really social and fun. Maybe it's getting a massage every week. So what are those things you can do every single week as your non-negotiables? Just pop some in the chat box. What are some of the things that you love putting into your life as a non-negotiable, as a big rock? And then think monthly. So monthly, I catch up with friends and do a vision day, or I'll do a full planning day, strategy day with one of my business colleagues or friends or my sister. And then quarterly, I always take at least 3 nights away. Always get away, go to a new place. So think about the non-negotiables that you can put in place, that you know if you do this regularly, like it should be scheduled into your phone, not just a nice idea. And I know that there's things that, these are not new things for you, but how often are you actually doing them? So you want to identify the red flags. You want to identify the big rocks, those non-negotiable rocks, and I'd love to know what they are for you. And then the next thing you need to do, the third thing you need to do, is create a reframe. Create a reframe. And you can do this through a statement. So I've got a statement here which is just super simple, but you want to, when you're feeling stressed, you want to be able to reframe really quickly. And you need to talk to yourself. You need to tell yourself good things. So when you're under stress, you want to have some go-to statements that you can say to yourself. And so it might be, getting things done is easy and fun. It might be, I am capable. No matter what happens, I'll handle it. All is well. Just simple things, especially if you wake up in the night. Like if you're suffering from stress, you're probably waking in the night, or you're finding it hard to go to sleep. You might find yourself fidgety, nervous, trouble relaxing. If you can have a statement that you speak over yourself to just kind of calm yourself down, all is well. Everything is working out as it's meant to. Everything happens for a reason, whatever it is, but you just repeat it, repeat it, repeat it. A really simple template that I really like to use is called a reframe statement. And it basically says, even though XYZ, I choose XYZ. So you're acknowledging, even though I have a migraine, I choose to relax. Even though I've got a lot to do today, I choose to be grateful to have the time flexibility. Even though this horrible circumstances just happened to me, I choose love. So it's just a really simple reframe. Out of all the personal development that I've done, and I'm sure you've done so much as well, if you think about the things that have made the biggest difference to you, so much of the time it comes back to our thinking. Like, what are we telling ourselves? That self-talk, and reframing is one of the most powerful things I ever learned in personal development. The meaning we give something, circumstance happens, we get to decide the reaction to it. Thank you, Lisa, you're amazing. So we can't control things happening to us, people doing things to us, people letting us down. clients not signing up, clients canceling, production halting, whatever it is, we can't control. But even though, I choose. So if you have a statement that you think would help you, or a statement that you currently use that you repeat to yourself when you're in stress, please pop it in the chat box. I'd love to hear from you. Lisa has a massage once a month. I love that. It's such a great ritual. I'm definitely going to have more massage. Carolyn, meditation every morning. Such a great domino habit, because if you can set your day up, the first thing you do at the start of the day is so powerful. Yen says meditation plus morning ritual daily. Nice. Plus PMR and visualize evening. What's PMR, Jens? PMR. So do you have a reframe statement that helps you? And if not, just write it down now. If you're on live, I'd love to hear from you. If you're on the replay, just give me a hashtag and just put what your statement is. Even though this is happening, I choose. I choose love. I choose freedom. I choose joy. I choose gratitude. I choose to focus on the benefits. I choose to focus on the amazing future I have, whatever it is. Thanks, Jens. So just to recap, number one is to identify your red flags and really face it. Really, even if you don't feel super stressed, go, okay, these things are happening around me in my behavior, my environment, physical things happening in your body, you know, that you can feel and see, emotional, mental. Number two, schedule your big rocks, put them in your diary daily, weekly, monthly. And then number three, create a reframe statement. If you're feeling overwhelmed and stressed out in your business, it's a big sign that you need support. So if you want to have a chat, if you want to build a strategy that's easy and fun. So if you need a strategy in your business to grow, which is probably why you came on this, because I talked about this is the thing that stops you growing in your business. I love helping people put strategies in place where I show you what to do so that you're not stressed and overwhelmed trying to figure it all out. That's where you burn yourself out. But if you want to speed up that process of where you are to where you want to be, so that you don't just try and do more and spend 12 hours a day on your laptop, but actually not really get a great outcome, not really make the money that you want. Save yourself all that stress and effort and frustration, working it out on your own, and book in for a free 45-minute strategy session with you. And you'll be able to see whether my programs are a right fit for you, and whether and either way, I want to help you move through this, because it's a horrible place to be when you're stuck in stress. So I'm going to put that link to the session. If you haven't had a session with me, then you can apply for the session here. I'd love to chat with you and just help you through, because business is too hard to do alone. Progressive muscular relaxation. That sounds awesome. That sounds so good. Nice. Thank you everybody for joining me live. It was great to have you here. If you've got any questions, comments, please pop them in the comments box. I reply to all of them personally. And please reach out if you've got any questions, if you want to book that session. And also, what kind of content do you want me to cover in these lives? I show up here every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and if you've got something that you'd like me to talk about, just let me know. Just reach out, drop me a PM or an email, and I will love to include it if it's going to be relevant for most people. Take care. Have a beautiful evening. Love you guys. Bye.